everyone, and welcome to Win Within. I am one of your hosts, Lenora Edwards.
And I'm George Jones.
And we are coming here together with you every Wednesday, helping you win from within by offering you insights, guidance, inspiration, and support in the best ways that we know how through our own life lessons and our experiences. For those of you who don't know us, George Jones is a former NFL running back with an outstanding career from 1997 to 2002. And is also the #1 best-selling author of his very own book, The Present Dad. He's a devoted husband and father to his 3 kids and continues to advocate for his foundation, The Present Dad. And I am Lenora Edwards, a mind and life enhancement specialist with DTB Horizons. As a board-certified speech pathologist and certified holographic memory resolution practitioner, I help people easily release the things that are holding them back and keeping them stuck so that they can effortlessly move forward and enjoy life on their terms.
That was great, Lenore. Appreciate the introduction. So today we're going to talk about ways to have a winning relationship. And I know anybody who's listening in, relationships can be a big point of stress. They can also be the greatest joy of life. Relationships should be based on equality. This is not a competition. We should not be keeping score. We want to win together. Relationships take work from both partners, not just one. You will never reach the point when you would say our relationship is perfect. It's always work. So today, the first keys to a successful relationship is honesty, communication, and trust. So Lenore, tell me about honesty, communication, and trust in your marriage with Gary.
Completely. I completely agree with those being keys to a successful relationship. And when it comes to communication, what I have found over the years was it wasn't just communicating with my significant other. It was also learning what I wanted from the relationship, what I wanted to bring to the relationship, and what I also wanted to receive. So I found the more inner work that I did on really understanding who I was and how I wanted to show up, it completely shifted it, especially when early in my marriage, I don't know, just out of curiosity, have you ever had a disagreement with your spouse?
Yes,
Maybe one or two. Maybe one or two.
Yeah.
And I had found out that the way that I would have a disagreement with my husband was not in the most effective way. And I would actually I'd be screaming my head off, and we just got louder and louder and louder. And it was not effective. And we actually had to learn the art of how to disagree with integrity and respect. And it was not something that came overnight, but it was absolutely something that we worked on, because who wants to be screaming all the time?
Exactly.
Completely. How about you?
Yeah, with me, so I'm going to start with honesty. Now, in full transparency, when I met my spouse in 1996, as we were dating, I that honesty part was, I wasn't the best at that time, and I still feel really bad about that now, that I wasn't completely honest about some of the stuff I was saying and some of the stuff that I was doing. As a young guy, playing college football, you don't, when you meet someone, you don't, kind of know how it's going to turn out in the future. So, and that honesty thing, I didn't do a very good job of that. So anyone who's listening out there, man or woman, I would suggest that you'll be 100% honest with your girlfriend, fiance, wife, husband, your spouse from the beginning. Because if you're not honest at the beginning, it's going to be hard for that person to trust you as the relationship goes on. Communication. I was not a great communicator. I expected my wife to be able to read my mind when I say something or if I did something. So growing up the way I did, there was not really a lot of communication on, feelings and things of that nature. So I had to learn how to do that. And Katie taught me, how to communicate a lot better than I did before when we first got together. And then the trust, I was one of those type of people who had trust issues growing up because so many people did wrong by me. So I didn't trust people, and I lumped everybody in together instead of just looking at the person and looking at how they treat me and go from there. I didn't do that. I put everybody in the same box, whether you was white, black, Hispanic, whatever it was. Um, I didn't trust people. So, and again, Katie helped me open up to being able to trust people now. So, um, I think I've gained a lot, from Katie. She's helped me a bit with especially with the winning relationship part.
I think it's definitely something that comes in time, especially when we start out so young and we are looking for somebody to date,
Mhm,
and it's just those things that we don't know what we don't know, and we also think, well, they should know, they should
mhm,
anticipate what I want, what I need, they should know
mhm,
this without telling anybody. But it really is such a very interesting way that relationships evolve over time, and thank goodness
mhm.
they evolve over time, and thank goodness we don't think the same way that we did when we were 18, 19, and 20, but it
Yeah.
really is it's a well worth the journey of
Mhm,
inside work of saying, "Okay, how do I want to show up for this person, and what do I want to give?" But also,
mhm,
how can I communicate that? Because it's not just saying, "I need this, I need this, I need this." It's also, what does your significant other
mhm,
need, and where are you wanting to go and negotiate and not negotiate and being a part of it. And there's so many times where you will be in a tough point in your relationship,
mhm,
and it's that stand back up again and come together stronger. And I think one thing that I was truly pivotal was when we're in a disagreement, we focus on the one that we're in,
mhm,
not the 20 others that we've had, and bringing all of that with us. That was so hurtful when we would do that to each other. And thank goodness we came to the conclusion of, okay, let's focus on this one, and being able to be in the moment and be present of the current one, not the other
mhm.
ones. We've learned, let's move forward.
See, like with me, and again, I'm speaking from me.
Yeah.
I had that mentality in a relationship, like football, everything was competitive.
Yeah.
So if I got in a disagreement with my spouse, if she went right here, I'm like, I got a one up.
Hmm.
She goes right here, then I got a one
Hmm.
up. Even if I'm wrong in the disagreement, I still tried to win at all costs because I looked at it like a football game and like a competition. And being young, I did not know, that's not the way to go. And
Yeah.
so as I've gotten
Completely.
older and I've matured, I know, on some of these things, you got to learn how to compromise
Hmm.
so both parties can feel good about the disagreement and that one person is not overtaking the other all the time during a disagreement.
Completely, completely. I think that's such a beautiful point to point out, to know your outcome. When you're in that disagreement, what's the point? What are we trying to viciously hurt each other, or are we trying to come to an established understanding of, we might agree to disagree or whatever the case is, and understanding that those boundaries come into play of not wanting up and not hitting below a certain point,
Hmm.
because especially when you're in a long-term relationship,
Hmm.
it can be extraordinarily detrimental very, very
Oh,
quickly.
yes. And that thing that we talked about, the trust, for me, the childhood trauma that I had to go through as a kid, that was one of the main things that caused me to not trust people.
Mhm.
Y- you know um so anytime I got away from where I lived at and where I grew up, anytime I felt like somebody was getting close to me and that person was Katie getting close to me, I didn't feel right. And I'm like, hold
Mhm.
on, why is this person getting close to me? And it was the same thing with Money and Jackie Broom. Every time they got closer to me, I tried to push them away
Mhm.
because I had to deal with my own demons
Completely.
from my past trauma. And it's something that I've learned to work on in my late 40s now.
Mhm.
So I'm learning it at a later stage, but I'm glad that I'm able to learn it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely about learning it now, because in doing that, it's such a we're amazing. If you think about it, humans are absolutely amazing, because you learn from your experience that it's not safe to trust. And to go to that other extreme of saying, okay, I've really learned this lesson. And then to reestablish balance that says, okay, there are people I can trust, and building those boundaries of who you can trust and how you know, so that you are allowing them to become closer as you're experiencing it yourself and saying, okay, I'm still okay. And they're still showing me that they're trustworthy. They're still
Hmm.
showing me that they care. I know that they care. And quite literally having that conversation with yourself saying, well, let me look at the evidence. Let me see. How do I know that they care? Well, they continue to show up for me every day. They continue to be in my life. They continue to talk kindly to me.
Hmm.
And in those moments of disagreement, how are they still showing that they care, because things are important to them and they're important to you, and working through that are all building those levels of trust and that ongoing communication with your significant
Hmm.
other. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're gonna pivot to healthy boundaries. Now, with me, with healthy boundaries, I think Lenore, both both parties, each spouse should, they should do their own thing sometime. Like for instance, with me and Katie, I like to go to the gym. I'm not saying
Mhm.
that Katie doesn't like to go to the gym, but I don't like going to the gym. I love going to the gym. And like Katie just went on this vacation with a lot of her friends. I
Right.
don't like to do that. So, we can have it to where she can do what she want to with her friends. I could do what I want to with myself. And then we come together when we need to do things like, TV, family time, eat together, do all that. Because, your partner, in my opinion, should have their friends outside of the relationship. They should both have their own friends outside of
Mhm.
the relationship. And the other spouse should not feel jealous about that. You should
Yeah.
never, be jealous because, and I understand some people may listen to this and say, well, your partner didn't do this and do that on you. And I understand jealousy is a natural emotion, but it's what we do that makes it unhealthy.
Mhm.
You don't want to sit there and have to be texting your significant other every 5 seconds, every 5 minutes. Where is this person? Where are you? You're not, returning my text when they're out with their girls, or
Mhm.
vice versa.
Mhm. I think that also goes to trusting that other person,
Hmm.
and especially when it does come to jealousy. And I love that you enjoy the gym so much. I'm definitely a huge fan of it. And I wake up at 4:30 in the morning to have my gym time and my morning routine, because it's really important to me. And I actually call it me time, because
Hmm.
quite literally the entire world is mostly asleep at that point.
Hmm.
And I just make that time for me to set myself up to take care of myself. And as people go out with friends or they do things by themselves, that is them taking care of them also. And there's so many different types of boundaries. There's the mental component, the emotional, the spiritual, and then there's the physical component. And also being able to understand when somebody's apart from you, you can still trust them. And if things, emotions like jealousy are coming up, I think that's also something to look at and says, okay, this, I'm feeling really jealous. Why am I feeling jealous? What else is coming up? Well, it makes me feel like I'm not good enough. It makes me feel like they don't love me. And then looking at that, is it true though? Is it true that you're not loved? Is it true that you're not good enough?
Hmm.
And likely it's not. It's mostly a feeling that's coming up, but to lean into that when those feelings come up, because they really do help us, they allow us to explore, but to also explore ourselves on a different level, and to understand, hey, you know what? That doesn't mean that they don't love me. That means that they probably just want time with friends, and I can understand that.
Hmm.
And as you lean into it, you'll notice that that emotion might likely just evaporate
Hmm.
and be gone. So that's always a great thing to be aware of.
Yes, Lenore, I have a ton of friends who, they're really jealous of their partner's friends. And it's mostly the guys who are jealous of the girls that have like friends, male friends. And I tell guys all the time, my friends, no woman wants a guy who is jealous and
Mm,
doesn't have confidence in themselves of who they are as a man and as a spouse.
mhm,
For me, I've never really been the jealous type. And I mean, it's not. I'm gonna try not to come off harsh about it. Like, I'm so confident in who I am as an individual. That's why I don't feel the need to get jealous. I
Mhm.
mean, do I care for my spouse? Of course. Do I love her?
Mhm.
Yes, everything. But I just feel that I don't need to get jealous if she's talking to a male friend or just a male total stranger,
Mhm.
because I am secure that that person, whoever it may be, cannot give Katie more than I can. So
Absolutely.
I don't worry about that. And anybody that's listening, I'm not being braggadocious or anything like that. I'm just confident in who I am as an individual. And I hope that others, whether it's male or female, that you be confident in the relationship that you have with your significant other, because no one wants a person that's super jealous. I don't
Mhm.
think that's healthy.
Absolutely, and then even noticing that that it might be triggering for you to be jealous, but also recognizing what you do bring to the table. That's a great thing to be proud of, to know your self-worth, to know that you are providing amazing loving support and care to your significant other. And if something else is going on, then that should also be communicated to you. But to know what you bring and to know what you're offering, and then to also have that ongoing trust of coming back together, especially because there's years of relationship already well established foundation, and
Mhm.
for it to be gone in a flash, very very unlikely.
Mhm.
And just even thinking back to all the times that you guys spend so much time together laughing and understanding each other and being a part of each other's life, it really um it's really wonderful to hear that you don't experience that and that you guys do have that trust and that
Oh,
support in each other.
no doubt. Now, another ways to having a winning relationship, in my opinion, is laughter. We have to be able to laugh at ourselves. Now, in the Jones household, Lenore, I am the butt of all the jokes.
Aw.
Yes. Katie is a jokester. She is a comedian, and she lets me have it all the time. The
Aw.
boys, the same way. If anything comes up about football or anything, the kids will be like, "Oh, well, if that was George Jones, he'd have been gone on the football field." or or if I start to reminisce about college football or something like that, GJ or one of the boys or Cooper would say, here go dad again. And then everybody would they would just pile up on me. But that part about the relationship laughter, I love it, especially
Yeah.
when the kids get involved with it. And I don't mind being the everybody cracking jokes on me, because
Aw.
I love it. I mean, as long as it's even if it's inappropriate, it doesn't bother me. I really love it. And Katie has a great sense of humor, and she's quite the comedian in the Jones family. So we get a kick out of that. And then I will probably say GJ is second, Cooper's third, Max is fourth, and I'm last. I don't have the my comedian with telling jokes is not that good, because Katie lets me know that all the time. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's too
Yeah,
funny.
and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that, because I don't know if I told you the other night I was practicing the TED Talk with Katie and our youngest son Cooper, and I started speaking, and Katie and Cooper started looking at me, and Katie knew what I was doing, and Cooper was like, "Dad, what are you doing? What are you saying?" And they just start cracking up, but he had no idea of what I was doing. And
Yeah.
those are the times that is the best part of a winning relationship, when your spouse and the kids and the loved ones can just laugh at each other,
Aw.
and it's the best thing.
That's awesome. I love that. My husband is hilarious. He comes out with voices of all sorts and jokes of all sorts. And
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm not ready for my stand-up comedian role yet, but I do love cheesy jokes, and usually dad jokes are my favorite jokes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I, I mean, but we can't be good in everything. So you can't be good at everything. So you gotta leave the comedian stuff, to some others who have those abilities. Because I know I try to stay in my lane. I know what I'm capable of doing. I try not to deviate from that. And being a comedian is not my thing. That's the kids and Katie, and
Aw.
they do a great job at it, especially Katie. I'm trying to get better at cracking jokes, but they'll shoot me down every time because they'll say it doesn't make sense.
Aw.
And
My
half
my
the and Lenore, half the time it doesn't make sense. I just be making stuff up just to see if I can get a laugh, and then I'll laugh at my own self.
Oh, there you go. I
Yeah,
usually my quota is one joke a month. Like if I can get my husband to laugh once a month, like out of like oh, that was a good one, Lenora. That I met my
yes,
quota.
yes, nice,
My
nice.
mission is
Yeah.
accomplished.
Now, the last one in a healthy and winning relationship is the one I'm pretty sure a lot of people struggle with, and that's saying I'm sorry. I, and I can probably say I was one of those that struggled with that early on in my relationship because, again, as I stated earlier, it was a competition on who could win the disagreement. So if I won the disagreement, and if I said I was sorry, then I end up losing the disagreement. So again, for our audience and listeners out there, that's not the way you want to do it. The way that was pretty naive and not good on my part, that to take the relationship and try to win in the argument, and then on top of don't have the wherewithal to tell your spouse that you're sorry if you said something or did something to make that individual upset. And over time, I've gotten better at apologizing and owning up for my own mistakes, even mistakes that I did in the past. I always try to, if it's Katie or to the boys, I try to, own up to everything, that we do. And I try not to like, act like I'm perfect because I'm far from it. I got a bunch of flaws, so I'm nowhere near perfect. But and after arguments, I kind of reflect on what I could have done differently in my part of the disagreement because in my mind, I know I shouldn't say certain stuff, but it ends up coming out. And I'm like, why did you say that? Why did you say it? And then I'm like, God, man, why didn't I listen to my inside? And then, you have to come back and be able to tell that person how hurtful that was to them, and you got to apologize. I mean, you just
Mhm.
have to own it. And now that me and Katie have kids, it's good that I sit here and her as well own up to our mistakes because we want to show healthy relationship and healthy boundaries to our boys so they can understand when they get in a relationship and they have their own spouse that it's okay to say you were wrong and that you're sorry for hurting your significant other.
Completely. And you said that so beautifully. I grew up thinking or learning you just say you're sorry. You just say
Yeah.
you're sorry. Sorry, 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 sorry. Even if you're not sorry, you just say you're sorry, you're sorry. And I really didn't like that. And that really created a thought process of I'm always wrong because I was always the one having to apologize. And what I learned, thankfully, with again, growth and evolution
Yeah.
of self, when we do say we're sorry, we say what we're sorry for. Like I'm
Hmm.
sorry for cursing at you or I'm sorry for saying something very hurtful. Not I'm sorry for I have an opinion. I'm
Hmm.
sorry that you don't agree with my thoughts. I'm sorry for being vicious and coming across with
Hmm.
malice intent or whatever the case may be, and that makes all the difference. I'm sorry for what it was that you were specifically wanting to apologize for, because there are times where your opinions, and as I'm sure again you know well, your
Yeah.
opinions don't match the other person, and that's okay. Nobody told us that that was okay. They just
Hmm.
told us to apologize. And that to me was truly pivotal in really understanding I can have my own thoughts. I can have my own boundaries and my own opinions, and I'm good with that. I'm sorry for having this really hurtful person come out. And again, this is something over time that I've become very aware of, especially when you feel terrible after that
Hmm.
disagreement and you have that reflection say, okay, well, next time I'm going to do my best not to not to curse
Hmm.
or not to come across in a certain way. And I used to work in I'm over my career, I've worked in a number of nursing homes.
Mhm.
And I love the geriatric population, and I ask them all sorts of questions. And especially when they tell me that they've been married for 50, 60, 70 years, I would say, "What's your secret?"
Mhm.
And one of them in particular, she said, "Watch what you say, because once you say it, you can't take it back."
Yes.
And she's absolutely right. Once those words leave your mouth, you can apologize them, but once they're out, they're out. And it's something that really, and I'm telling you, I learned this when I was 21, and I'm no longer 21. I've really kept it. And I will, even if I've said things that I regret, I remember this quote going, "Once you say it," and I'm like, she's right. Once you say it, you say it. And it's truly something I've worked to carefully
Mhm.
disagree with somebody. And things that I found incredibly powerful were, when you're in a disagreement with somebody, whether it's your significant other or whomever, change your posture and change your breathing, but also to change your tone of voice.
Yeah.
And when you can come softer and quieter, you can slow your pace down. And it makes a huge difference, because the other person will then also acknowledge, oh, they're getting softer. Or the more you can maintain it, it will help reduce the escalation that can actually result. And those I found to be very, very helpful in being a part of a disagreement.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off of where you said you have to calm the voice down and the tone, because I find that with the boys, if I change how I speak to them when I'm apologizing, they take what I say a lot easier than if I'm raising my voice.
Mhm,
So I've had to learn that over the years to be able to look at them and see how they're responding to my tone. And the
mhm,
same thing of that, I'm sorry, like with Katie, with me and Katie, I was, when I used to say I'm sorry, I never would say I'm sorry because I hurt your feelings or I said something that hurt your feelings.
mhm,
And as I've gotten again more mature and Katie has helped me, now when we get into a disagreement and then we're back on the same page, now I might say that I wouldn't say in the past in my 20s. For example, I'm just making up something now. I may say, "Yeah, Katie, that really hurt my feelings. That was messed up that you said that to me. I mean, that hurt my feelings right there." In the past, I never would say that, but as I've gotten more mature and all that, because I
mhm,
want her to know now that I am human. I do have feelings. Most people would think I don't have feelings because sometimes I come across like that, is that that I'm this tough guy, but in all reality, I'm not really that tough. I'm fragile, but people just see that in me, and so I have to maintain that kind of image because of, before I, started getting
mhm,
help for my own mental health stuff,
mhm,
mental health struggles. I projected myself as that because I was, hurting and I was fragile in the inside. And
mhm,
now that I've gotten that, I don't have to project myself as being a tough guy anymore. And so saying I'm sorry and letting Katie know that she hurt my feelings is pretty easy now.
mhm. I love that, especially because it's something that you've moved through and you've come out on the other side. And it's
Hmm.
so interesting. This culture would really have you think that, especially in social media land, where everybody has, oh, they have no troubles at all. They have no worries. They have no insecurities. And truly, having worries and insecurities and getting your feelings hurt are truly a part of the human experience. And the more that people are becoming aware of being able to communicate to others, hey, that was really hurtful, in a appropriate way, and to really understand how we are communicating with each other, and also who is trustworthy to share this information with. And I think truly for you and I, we have gone through those personal experiences of really doing the inner work and coming out on the other side. And it's when you start to do the inner work, and if anybody is starting their journey or wherever you are, you might notice that there's a lot of tears and a lot of sadness involved, and you're starting to explore these parts of yourself that you have now been trying to cover up for so long. And as you do it, you actually start to breathe differently, you move differently, you
Hmm.
feel lighter. and you realize, I'm okay. I'm human. I'm
Yes.
okay to have these emotions. I'm okay to express to other people that they hurt me, and I'm okay to have boundaries, and I'm okay learning to trust people and learning to communicate in ways that are right for me. And it's an evolution of yourself that quite literally transforms the relationship with yourself, but every relationship in your life. And it's incredible.
I agree with everything that you
Mhm.
said.
Mhm.
That was wonderfully the way you put it all together.
Thanks.
Lenore, I am so happy and thankful that we're able to come on the show every Wednesday and give people some insight about different things about life.
Completely.
And I hope
Completely.
for individuals that's listening out there, we're going to always come on here and give you, our insight on things that we're talking about from a personal perspective. We're never going to try to guess about someone else, especially me. And I know Lenore's the same way. She's not going to do that. And we hope you guys continue to follow, subscribe, like, and leave comments in the comment section on what me and Lenore could do better. I mean, because we always want the show to be better. So let us know topics that you would like to hear us talk about. All that. And again, we will be back next Wednesday. We look forward to bringing, you guys great content about what's going on in the world and what's going on with feelings and relationships, mental health, whatever it may be. We're here to bring it to you from our perspective.
So beautifully said, George. And as always, we are going to leave you with a quote. Our quote this week is, "The best relationships are win win. Why don't more people go into relationships with that attitude?" By John C. Maxwell. And something new we are offering you is a weekly challenge for you to find or notice at least 3 ways that you can create a winning relationship in your life. So until next
Beautifully
time,
said.
guys. Thank you so much, George. It was great spending time with you. And thank you to everybody who's watching. And thanks for all the likes and the subscribes. And keep talking to us. We are here to listen to you and we are here to share. All right. Stay well, everyone.
You too. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.